Are you prepared to journey with me into darkness? Then listen closely to the tales of the 10 most terrifying creatures ever to haunt mankind's nightmares. 10. The Wendigo. When winter's grip tightens and hunger gnaws at the bones, the forests of the north fall silent. The Algonquian peoples know why. They sense the presence of the Wendigo. A spirit of insatiable hunger, the Wendigo was once human. Those who succumb to cannibalism during the merciless winter months invite this spirit to possess them. The transformation is horrifying. Bones elongate, skin stretches until it splits, and antlers burst from the skull as humanity fades from their eyes. But what truly makes the Wendigo an abomination is its endless hunger. The more it consumes, the greater its appetite grows, leaving a trail of bones and sorrow across the snow-laden landscape. Even now, those who venture into the northern wilderness report hearing voices of loved ones calling from between the trees. If you ever hear such whispers, run. The Wendigo mimics the voices of the ones you hold dear, luring you deeper into its hunting grounds. What curse could be more terrible than to be forever starving, no matter how much you consume? What monster more frightening than the one that was once human, just like you? 9. The Nuklavi. The Orkney Islands shield many secrets beneath their stormy skies, but none more dreadful than the Nuklavi. Imagine a horseman fused to his steed, but this description barely touches the horror of its true form. The Nuklavi has no skin, raw muscle and black veins pulse in the cold sea air. Its head is massive, with a single burning eye and a mouth that stretches wider than any human should. When crops wither and livestock fall dead in the fields the islanders know. The Nuklavi has risen from its ocean home, bringing plague and famine with every thunderous hoofbeat. The creature's breath alone can wither plants and sicken children. Its touch brings death that lingers for days. Yet there is one salvation: the beast cannot cross fresh water. The wise Arcadian knows to keep a stream between themselves and the sea when traveling on dark nights. What terror would you feel, seeing this skinless monstrosity emerge from the waves? Would you remember to run not along the shore, but inland toward the nearest stream? 8. The Lamia. In the moonlit hills of ancient Greece, a mother's worst nightmare took physical form: the Lamia. Once a queen of extraordinary beauty, she caught the wandering eye of Zeus himself. But Hera, consumed by jealousy, slew all of Lamia's children while forcing her to watch. Grief twisted Lamia's mind and body until she transformed, her lower half becoming a serpent while her upper body maintained its allure. Now she hunts other women's children, driven by endless envy and rage. Some say she can remove her own eyes at will, placing them in a vessel while she rests, only to restore them when the hunt begins anew. The Greeks understood something profound about horror. The most terrifying monsters are those born from tragedy, those who were once like us before fate twisted them into something else. What would you sacrifice for revenge? At what point does vengeance transform the seeker into something worse than what they hunt? 7. The Jiangshi. That sound, like wood striking stone, is all the warning you will receive before the Jiangshi finds you. In the mist-shrouded mountains of ancient China, these hopping vampires were once ordinary people. Corpses that never received proper burial, or bodies whose souls failed to find peace. The Jiangshi rise when darkness falls. Their limbs, stiffened by death, force them to move by hopping with arms outstretched before them. Their skin turns greenish-white, and their fingernails grow into claws sharp enough to tear through flesh and bone. But do not be deceived by their awkward movement. The Jiangshi track their prey not by sight but by sensing your breath. They drain not blood but qi, the vital essence of life itself, leaving behind corpses that will, in time, rise to join their ranks. The wise know that holding one's breath as they pass by might save your life. Mirrors confuse them, as does the wood of the peach tree. How long could you hold your breath if you heard that rhythmic hopping approaching in the dark? Would you remember these defenses when face to face with death? 6. The Grutslang. Before humans walked the earth, when the gods were still learning their craft, they made a terrible mistake: the Grutslang. In the deepest caves of Africa, where diamonds glitter like captured stars, this ancient being still dwells. The gods, realizing they had created something too powerful, split their creation into two separate species: elephants and great serpents. but one escaped their divine intervention. The Grutslang combines the strength of an elephant with the cunning of a serpent. A massive trunk sprouting from a serpentine head, its body over 60 feet of coiled muscle. It guards hordes of precious gems in caverns where sunlight has never reached. Yet unlike mindless beasts, the Grutslang possesses ancient intelligence. Some say it can be bargained with, if you dare to attempt negotiation with such a creature. A single diamond might buy your life, if offered with proper respect. Would you risk entering its lair for unimaginable wealth? And if confronted by this primordial horror, would you have the courage to bargain rather than flee? 5. The Black Anise. That sound, like iron talons carving through solid rock, announces the approach of Black Anise. In the rolling hills of Leicestershire, England, this blue-skinned hag has terrorized generations. With a single gleaming eye and iron claws that can tear through oak and stone alike, Black Anise makes her home in a cave she personally carved from the hillside. Her appetite is specific, the tender flesh of children. She flays their skin before consuming them, then drapes these skins around her waist like trophies of her hunts. The sound of her teeth grinding together, like millstones crushing bone, is the last warning before she strikes. For centuries, homes near her domain were built with small windows that could be tightly shuttered at night. Parents warned their children never to linger outdoors as dusk approached, lest they become her next feast. Even now, when rational minds dismiss such tales, would you walk alone near her supposed cave when darkness falls? Would you dismiss the sound of grinding teeth as merely the wind? For the Gashadakuro. If you hear the sound of bells when no shrine is near, beware. The Gashadakuro approaches. Born from the collective anguish of those who died from starvation and were denied proper burial, this Japanese horror stands 15 times the height of a mortal man. A skeleton assembled from the bones of the forgotten dead, animated by hatred and hunger. Despite its massive size, the Gashadakuro moves in silence. Only the ringing in your ears, like distant temple bells, warns of its approach. By then it is often too late. Its massive hands descend from above, seizing victims and lifting them high into the night air. Then comes the end. The Gashadakuro bites off the head of its prey, drinking the blood that rains down from above. The Japanese understood that the dead, if not properly honored, may return with vengeance in their hollow hearts. The Gashadakuro reminds us that collective suffering, left unaddressed, may one day rise up in terrible judgment. If you hear phantom bells tonight, will you remember these words? Will you wonder if the famine victims of the past have come to collect their due? 3. The Aswang. In the scattered islands of the Philippines, the most terrifying monster is the one sitting beside you at the market, smiling as it plans your death, the Aswang. By day, they appear as ordinary humans, often women with quiet demeanors and pleasant faces. Your neighbor, perhaps, or the kind woman who sells fish at the market. But when darkness falls, their true nature emerges. Their bodies split at the waist, the upper torso growing bat-like wings while the lower half remains behind. They fly through the night with an oil that renders them nearly invisible. Their preferred victims are unborn children, which they extract from sleeping mothers using a proboscis-like tongue. More horrifying still is their cunning. They replace their victim's body with a doppelganger fashioned from a tree trunk, enchanted to appear as a corpse that sickens and dies over several days. The wise Filipino keeps a whip made from stingray tail nearby, for its crack produces a sound the Aswang cannot bear. Look around you. Would you know an Aswang if you saw one? Could you tell which of your neighbors harbors this terrible secret? 2. The Skinwalker. There are some beings so feared that even speaking their true name may draw their attention. The Navajo call them Yinaldlushiai, the Skinwalker. Once human, these medicine men betrayed their sacred calling, turning to forbidden practices. Through unspeakable rituals and taboo acts, they gain the power to transform into any animal, most commonly the wolf, coyote, bear, or owl. Their speed defies natural law. They can cross vast distances in moments. Their voice can mimic any sound, a child crying, a loved one calling for help. Some say they can read human thoughts, knowing your intentions before you act upon them. To make eye contact with a skinwalker is to invite its malice. They spread sickness, stealing inside homes to sprinkle corpse powder on the sleeping. They pursue those who speak of them, hunting them relentlessly through desert and mountain alike. Perhaps most disturbing is the knowledge that they walk among their victims by day, watching, waiting, monsters wearing human faces. If you hear your name called in the darkness tonight, will you answer? Or will you remember that not everything that speaks with a familiar voice is what it appears to be? 1. The Kukusei Koenai. In the neon-lit streets of modern Japan walks a horror that bridges ancient fear and contemporary dread. The Kukusei Kana, the slit-mouthed woman. She appears on foggy evenings wearing a surgical mask, a common sight in Japanese cities. A beautiful woman with long hair, she approaches her victims, often children walking home alone, and asks a simple question, "Am I beautiful?" Answer yes, and she removes her mask to reveal a mouth slit from ear to ear, a Glasgow smile carved in flesh. Then comes her second question, "How about now?" Say no, and she cuts you in half with the large scissors she carries. Say yes, and she carves your face to match her own. There is seemingly no escape from her terrible symmetry. Yet there are ways to survive an encounter. Answer her first question ambiguously, "You are average," or "You are SSO." This confuses her long enough to flee. Or throw candies or coins to the ground. Her compulsion to pick them up one by one may buy precious time. What makes Kukusei Kana truly terrifying is her modernity. No ancient crypts or forgotten forests for this spirit. She walks well-lit streets and train platforms. Her domain is not the wilderness our ancestors feared, but the supposedly safe urban spaces of our contemporary world. Tonight, walking home, if a woman in a surgical mask approaches to ask if she is beautiful, what will you answer? These 10 terrors have haunted humanity's collective nightmares for centuries, each born from our deepest fears, of the unknown wilderness, of betrayal, of the dark impulses that lurk within ourselves. Why do these legends persist? Because they speak truth through shadow. The Wendigo warns against consuming that which should never be consumed. The Skinwalker cautions against seeking power through forbidden means. The Aswang reminds us that monsters often wear pleasant faces. I have shared this knowledge freely, but it comes with responsibility. These are not mere stories for entertainment. They are warnings, passed down through generations who understood dangers we have forgotten. Tonight, when you turn off the light and lie in darkness, remember, these 10 creatures are merely those I chose to share. Countless others wait in shadow, in legend, in the spaces between what we know and what we fear to know. Sleep well, if you can.